This is the scene of the crime, a gilded cage of impossible beauty and unspeakable secrets, the imperial court. For centuries, its history has been written in blood and perfume. But in this particular era, a pattern emerged, a series of incidents so bizarre, so sinister, they would have gone unsolved, if not for one unlikely investigator. A young woman kidnapped and forced into servitude whose only tools were a brilliant analytical mind and a knowledge of the deadliest substances known to man. This isn't just a story, this is the case file of Maomao. And what we're about to unravel is a web of conspiracy, psychological trauma, and poison that runs straight to the heart of the empire. What's up everyone, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. This is a place where we dissect real-life crimes, the intricacies of life in Japan, and the stories that make us think. And today we're diving into an anime that masterfully blends all of those elements. Strap in because we're opening a cold case from ancient China. The case of the Apothecary Diaries. Let's establish the facts. Our subject, Maomao, was forcibly taken from her town and installed as a low-level servant in the Rare Palace, a place where beauty is a weapon, and a single misstep can be fatal. Her initial profile suggested a non-threat. She kept her head down, but a good investigator can't ignore the evidence, and soon she was pulled into her first official case, the curse of the consorts. The initial reports were of a curse. Consorts and their infants were fallen mysteriously ill. The official narrative was pushing supernatural causes, but Maomao, acting as an anonymous source, left a note. Her diagnosis? Acute lead poisoning from a popular and lethal cosmetic powder. This was our first glimpse into her methodology, cold, hard science in a world ruled by superstition. It was also the moment she got the attention of a key figure in our investigation, the enigmatic and powerful Jinji. This single act pulled her from obscurity and placed her directly in the line of fire as a lady-in-waiting to consort Gyokuyo. Her new role? A poison taster. This wasn't a promotion, it was a frontline assignment in a silent chemical war. And the cases kept coming. Let's log them into a record. The case file 002, the spectral sleepwalker. A ghost was said to be haunting the corridors, but Maomao's profiling revealed a desperate woman, Consort Fuju, engineering her own escape from the gilded cage through a brilliant theatrical performance of somnambulism. This case was less about poison and more about the psychological trauma inflicted by this system. It showed us that the true crime here isn't always murder, sometimes it's the destruction of a human spirit. Case file 003, the targeted poisoning of Consort Li Hua. This was a clear case of attempted assassination. The poison was once again in the makeup. Maomao's intervention was direct, even physically confronting the perpetrator. It demonstrated an escalation in the threats she was facing and her growing reputation, making her both a valuable asset and a target. Case file 004, the Garden Party Incident. A brazen public poisoning attempt meant to frame the young, naive Consort Li Shu. Maomao's profiling of the crime scene and the behavior of Li Shu's own staff revealed a nest of vipers. Ladies-in-waiting so filled with resentment they were willing to kill their own charge. This case proved the conspiracy was not just top down, it was woven into the very fabric of the servant class. But to understand the investigator, we must understand her past. Our subject took a sanctioned leave to the red light district, her former home. Here we see the origins of her knowledge and her deep-seated trauma. Her adopted father, Luomen, a former court physician himself, is a man with his own haunted past. Connected to a case we'll discuss later, this trip also introduces a volatile element. The military official Lihaku, whose presence triggered an unprofessional and jealous response from Jinsey. The personnel was beginning to interfere with the procedural. Case File 005, The Bureaucrat's Banquet. The death of the bureaucrat Conan was staged to look like a salt overdose. Maomao immediately identified it as a homicide but refused to investigate further. Why? This is a critical point. It shows she understood the dangers of digging too deep into certain conspiracies. It was the first sign of a larger, more shadowy organization at work, one she knew she wasn't yet equipped to confront. This was followed by the mysterious drowning of a court lady. Ruled a suicide, but Maomao instinct screamed homicide. The connection? The garden party. This was a cover-up, and our investigator knew it. The walls were closing in. The most heartbreaking case file, one that reveals the core trauma of the entire series. This was the Atuo conspiracy. Atuo, the emperor's favorite consort, was being forced out. The investigation led Maomao to Fengming, Atuo's head lady in waiting. The revelation was brutal. Fengming hadn't just poisoned a rival. She had accidentally caused the death of Atuo's own child years prior. The motive? A twisted, obsessive love. This case ended not with a dismissal, but with an execution. Maomao had solved the crime, but the cost was a woman's life and the revelation of a shocking connection. Fengming was from a family linked to Maomao's own. The trauma of the court was now personal. And this brings us to the prime suspect, the mastermind behind countless manipulations, Lacan. Lacan is not a typical killer, he's a strategist, a man who sees people as pieces on a Go board. His initial interactions were cryptic, presenting puzzles for Maomao to solve, but his true objective was always Maomao herself. Jinsey's theory, which we can now confirm, was correct. Lacan is Maomao's biological father. His backstory is a tragedy that birthed a monster. His love for Fengxian, the legendary courtesan, was real, but his departure, orchestrated by his family, led to her ruin. The package with two fingers, that was Fengxian's final desperate message. She was forced into a brutal life of servitude, and Maomao is the child of that trauma. Lacan returned to find his love shattered, his daughter gone. This loss broke him, turning him into the cold, calculated man we see today. The climax of Season 1 was Maomao's direct confrontation with his trauma. The game of poison was a psychological battle, a daughter forcing her father to face the consequences of his abandonment. The withered blue rose she sent him was a message. Your love is dead and gone. I want nothing from you. The season concludes with Maomao having survived assassination attempts, political machinations, and the unravel of her own identity, choosing her path. She remains with Jinsey in the outer court, not as a victim, but as a willing participant in the great game. The case is far from close. The Board of Rice, the shadowy Siurei, and the political ambitions of the La clan are still threats. The investigator has survived her initiation, but the conspiracy has only just begun. And that closes the case file of Season 1 of the Apothecary Diaries. We follow Maomao as she uses logic and science to navigate a world built on secrets and poison. It's a brilliant, character-driven mystery, but it often makes us wonder about the real-world crimes that lack a clever apothecary to solve them. Crimes born not of courtly intrigue, but of pure isolated despair. That's the reality we discussed in this video where we broke down the 2008 Akihabara massacre. It's a case that involves a young man, online alienation, and a horrific stabbing spree that changed Japan forever. You can watch this video right here, but before you go, I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments which anime you think has the best mystery plots. You can subscribe for more deep dives into the crimes and stories that fascinate us, both real and animated. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye!